We want to take you to Parliament. Of course, the State of the Nation address will be happening in Parliament in a joint sitting between the Senate and the National Assembly. Our very able team, Sarafina Robi and Abdulaziz Hashim, are on the ground. Team Parliament, take it away.
What will you do, yeah?
Well, good morning to Betty Kiptum. We're coming to you live from Parliament buildings. This is the current situation. The preparations are ready for this year's State of the Nation address. You do know, Betty Kiptum, today President William Ruto will be giving a scorecard of what the Kenya Kwanza administration has been able to achieve for the last few days or so. And of course, it was held a meeting there at State House Nairobi where the president met with a host of legislators, over 200 of them, so that they can take stock of what they have achieved so far. And of course, the bone of contention that arose from that particular meeting is about the cost of living and the fuel prices in the country. We're waiting to see how President William Ruto will be navigating those murky waters, especially this afternoon. We do know that what he has been able to achieve so far is the fertilizer distribution to the farmers. That's why we have had a bumper harvest, according to the president, especially with farmers growing maize in various parts of the country. The other part that the president has been able to achieve a little bit is about the affordable housing projects. This was, of course, exacerbated by none other than the principal secretary, that is Charles Hinga, who clearly stated that the government has so far collected a revenue of 16 billion and above in terms of the affordable housing project as it continues. You do know that the target is 250,000 a year until he finishes his first term before we head over to the 2027 general election. On the agricultural sector, the president is talking about doing away with the subsidy. He said that we need to do more on production. When you do more about production, especially in this particular country, which is vastly known for its agricultural produce, it will at least alleviate farmers, and of course the cost of living issue will come to a little bit of an end. As much as the matter is currently before the bipartisan committee, you do remember that just the other day it was the Energy Cabinet Secretary, that is Davis Chirchir, as well as the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Professor Njuguna Ndogo, who clearly stated that we need to leverage on the manufacturing sector, which the government has been trying to revive, especially with the Trade Cabinet Secretary, who was former now and now has headed over to the Ministry of Public Service that was spearheaded by Moses Kuria. He was at least ensuring that there are various industrial parks across the country. The manufacturing sector also will be boosting up what this initiative the government is taking over, especially when it comes to the affordable housing. You do remember that the Principal Secretary, that is Charles Hinga, was saying that the country imports 69 items into the country, and sadly enough, they include hinges that make the various doors of this particular affordable housing. Now, if they're made in this particular country, the Juakali sector will be boosted. And the other particular sector that the president is looking at is boosting the foreign relations with other countries. He, of course, told us that he has had 27 economic partnership agreements with various countries. Just the other day, he was in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia talking to Bin Salman in terms of the IT sector, in terms of agricultural produce in the country, and many other sectors, especially tackling the unemployment crisis. That's why he revealed over 350,000 Kenyans will be sent to Riyadh to ensure that they get employed in those particular countries. Of course, they also talked about the mistreatment of Kenyans when they go there. You do know that Kenyans are hardworking people. This is just a bit of the tip of the iceberg of what the president will be talking about. To also anticipate the president to be talking about the doctrine of separation of powers, how his relationship between the judiciary, the legislature today, and of course the executive, how they're interdependent to each other and respecting, of course, the rule of law. Of course, we have seen the president also charting for the way forward of deploying 1,000 police officers to Haiti. Right now, as we speak, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, that is Professor Kithure Kindiki, is before the Defense Committee of the National Assembly. He's being grilled on the same matter. We're going to anticipate the president to be making his case before the legislators. You do know that right now the courts have halted the process, but at the end of the day, the decision lies with the parliament, that if parliament approves the 1,000 police officers to be sent to Haiti for the mission keeping in the Haitian nation, that will be the true retrospect. I'm not here alone. We do have Sarafina Robi. We also have John Jacob Kuria. We also have Regina Manyara. Now I want to hand you over to my colleague, that is Sarafina Robi aweze kutueleza kwa Kiswahili ni nini iliyoandaliwa leo. Sarafina, asante sana kuungana nasi kwa sasa. Tueleze ni nini umeweza kushuhudia hapa bunge tukitarajia Rais William Ruto.
Naam, shukran sana Abdi. Kama alivyokuwa amekujuza mtazamaji na Beti pale studioni, ni kuwa tunatarajia tuweze kupata hotuba ya Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya ambaye ni Dr. William Ruto. Kama ilivyo katika katiba ya Kenya katika ibara ya 132 ni kuwa rais wa taifa hili anatarajiwa kuweza kuhutubia taifa angalau mara moja kwa mwaka ili aweze kutujuza kama tumeweza kuafikia zile tunu za serikali ambazo zinajulikana kwa kizungu kama national values. Kwa hivyo tunatarajia kwa tuweze kuona kwa rais atakuwa na waeleza wa Kenya ni jinsi gani ambavyo serikali imeweza kuafikia tunu hizi za serikali, na kama tulivyokuwa tumekujuza Abdi alivyokuwa amekujuza ni kwa maandalizi hapa yashakamilika katika majengo ya bunge. Ni kuwa tunaweza kuwaona baadhi ya watu ambao wanaweza kulinda usalama, wanajeshi wameweza kufika hapa na vitengo mbalimbali vya usalama vipo katika eneo hili kuweza kuhakikisha kwa usalama unaweza kuimarishwa na vile vile shughuli hii nzima inaweza kwenda kama inavyostahili. Wakenya wanatarajia mengi sana kutoka kwa hotuba ya rais, yakiwemo vile vile kuweza kujua tukiweza kuangalia mambo ambayo serikali imeweza kuafikia kwa kipindi hiki ambacho imeweza kwa serikalini. Ni kwa tumeweza kuona kuwa baadhi tu ya mifumo ya serikali imeweza kupelekwa katika mfumo wa dijitali. Kati ya mifumo tuseme kama 7,000, zaidi ya 6,000 saizi inaweza kufanyika katika mfumo wa kidijitali, na vile vile tunatarajia tuweza kuona ataweza kuangazia mambo ya madeni, maana kwa Kenya wamekuwa kilia kuwa deni la nchi linaendelea kuongezeka. Vile vile tunatarajia iweze kuongea ama kugusia mambo kuhusiana na hali ya uchumi ilivyo nchini kwa sasa, maana Wakenya wengi wanaendelea tukulia kutaka kuona jinsi ambavyo serikali inaweza kuingia na ikaweza ikawasaidia katika kupunguza gharama ya maisha ambayo kwa sasa inaumiza Wakenya wengi. Basi tupo hapa katika majengo ya bunge kuweza kuhakikisha kuwa tunapata kile litakalojiri na tunakujuza jinsi mambo yatakavyokuwa yakiendelea, na tutakuwa tu tukifuatilia mijadala yote ambayo itakuwa inafanyika hapa, kwani ikitarajiwa kuwa baada tu ya rais kuweza kuhutubia taifa vile vile atakuwa anawasilisha ripoti ambayo vile vile itaweza kujadiliwa na mabunge yote ya taifa. Basi Beti na kurejesha kwa mwenzangu Abdi, na hapa katika mabunge ya serikali tunaendelea kufuatilia yote yanayojiri.
Asante sana Sarafina Robi. And of course, Betty Kiptum, we are talking about the issue of the universal healthcare coverage. And in just a moment, we'll be speaking to the Health Committee Chair, who is Robert Pokosa, the NDPS Member of Parliament. You do know that recently the universal healthcare coverage was launched in Kericho during the Mashujaa Day celebrations. And of course, that is something that the President has been working towards, especially with the Cabinet Secretary of Health, that is Susan Nakhumicha. And of course, we'll be seeing, of course, coming to the end of the National Health Insurance Fund and the introduction of the Social Health Insurance Fund as well. Those are the issues that the President will be tackling. You do know that economic experts in the country are arguing that 22 million Kenyans are below the poverty line, and of course the President needs to address this particular matter. That is just a tip of the iceberg of what we have in store for you from the parliamentary team, and of course we'll be coming back to you any moment from this now. As long as we have these legislators, we're still waiting for them. They're still streaming in. Once they do, we'll be coming back to you. Now back to you, Betty Kiptum.
Thank you very much, the team from Parliament. Of course, Abdiaziz Hashim there and Sarafina Robi just giving us the latest on the preparations that are going on in Parliament ahead of the State of the Nation address. And they shall be keeping tabs on that until the time when President Dr. William Ruto will be addressing Parliament.